all of us wonder what it's like to be born again in the spirit world. We come from that world of rainbow beauty, Tir na nog. We return to that world when we die. But some of us, like the swans of Lear, at night, and especially at the winter solstice and at Samhain and the Celtic festivals, we walk between two worlds. We enter that mysterious world of vision. I myself am going to be 90 in 2 years, so I especially wanted to make a rainbow bridge between the people I once met as a very young girl, especially A.E., Sage of Ireland, the great visionary, who saw the gods and goddesses of ancient Ireland as shining beings in the sky, and W.B. Yeats, and all these people. There's so many of them that I knew then, and it was a golden age, but it was a golden twilight, not the golden dawn that they hoped for. All that high hope had really began to be destroyed in 1914, when a whole generation were wiped out, and an empire saw itself in shatters, every hope going. So more and more wretched and rather gloomy materialism set in, which I remember. I went to the war, but with the Red Cross on me as a nurse, and saw a man weeping because they were going to cut his leg off next day in hospital. I saw the tragedy of it, a whole world divided. Where was this wonderful dream that A.E. prophesied would happen, when people would once more appreciate his poetry and his vision? Now, I myself never quite believed in all that stuff, you see. I worked with my father, really, for 40 years. He was a town planner and architect. And I didn't really believe in all these sort of Gaelic people floating around in robes or vision, because I had my own druid, Daniel Fox, who lived by the banks of the Slaney. And he really saw, and I believed in his visions, of the people in ancient days. They all sounded rather real. I remember I said, what sort of clothes do they wear? Dirty old clothes like you and me. And I said, what work do they do? The same work as you and me. And I thought we didn't do very much anyway. And I said, do they worship? What do they worship? The same God as you and me. And I said, do they do sacrifices? They do not, he said with great indignation. But he did initiate me into the mysteries, because he introduced me to a holy well. I really believed Daniel Fox. I suppose because he'd been out in Egypt with General Allenby and could interest and entertain my brothers and me, that when I was alone with him I wanted to hear about them, and he was a bit reluctant to talk about them. And this I wanted to know more than all the interesting people wearing white powder on their heads, galloping around when the river ran a different course, all that part, reincarnation. No, I wanted to hear about them. And he told me, and from then on, I felt there was a sort of blue haze of the mountains that perhaps one could walk through, but I was incapable of doing so. And the priest got worried. We were Protestants, but they were very kind. They were worried for our souls, and they came and told my mother that her mother must look after our dear children and not go and visit this sort of wild man. They even said his name was false. He'd rescued a fox being hunted by the hounds. He locked them in his farmyard. Well done him, I thought. But later on, in 1946, I found that I had the same gift as A.E. of seeing the shining ones, the ancient gods and goddesses. It was all latent, I think, possibly in the Robertson blood from northern Scotland. Now, I had Grogan blood, related to Cornelius Grogan, the famous rebel. We had that in me. It didn't come out in the others, except my brother Lawrence. Lawrence and I had what they call the gift. And this gift really awakened in me the glory of life. There is no death. Life is everlasting. And with Dana, the goddess Dana, I saw her with this beautiful golden hair like buttercups, and wearing this deep blue robe. The year 2000, I saw the goddess Brigid with her hair cut in petals, some call it hearts when they see it in America, wearing white and showing me the power of sonics, but sonics can actually affect atoms and alter our bodies in alchemy. But I especially wish to share things. So my brother and I founded the Fellowship of Isis for the goddess in all religions. We honor the god, but we felt the divine feminine needed to be honored. And so now we have nearly 24,000 members in 98 countries, multicultural, multiracial, which is important, multi-religious, and we also like animals. We accept animals can join. Their friends sign them on, and we could communicate with animals psychically. But I didn't seem to be making much headway in Ireland until suddenly I thought, well, why not? And we started our old theatre in the old mill house. First we used it just for family banquets and things, and then the glorious idea came that at the winter solstice I'd write a play and I could introduce vision to people of the ordinary people, not people belonging to the fellowship who were interested, say, in Tolkien or Rowling's or somebody, but people who could pay and come in and listen. And there was one bridge, culture. Culture vultures honour the name of Yeats. They never heard of A.E. They vaguely know about the Crock of Gold, but there was one name even more important than Yeats, not the name Fiona MacLeod, but his wonderful story, the amazing play by William Sharp, The Immortal Hour. There, does that do something for you? It does. The Immortal Hour. We put it on, it was a great success, and I felt guided that this is the time when we could offer our rendering of my play, but this is for people who are sitting out. We have members in Japan now. They adore Yeats. People all over, which really was a fan of Yeats. So we want this for people who can't actually come to our theatre